The session that we're doing today is the beginning session on accents. This is a book written by Elliot Fine and myself that concentrates not only on the accents but also on stickings. So the original title was actually Accent on Accents with Stress on Stickings, but the title was too long and it ended up, the publishers just decided to put on Accent on Accents. But it's really a sticking book. What we've done here is take eighth notes, triplets, and 16th notes and write out accented patterns in 4/4 time, 3/4 time, and even in 5/4 time. And then added the accents after we had figured out the different stickings. So like I said, it's a combination of stickings, but with the accents placed on the stickings. One thing that we use throughout the book is a little device that I kind of picked up by concentrating or thinking about rudiments. Some of the rudiments have the accent right after the double stroke, like a paradiddle has an accent right after the double stroke. Now if you think of a fully open single radimacue, then the accent is before the double. Single radimacue, single radimacue. And if we think of a fully open 6-stroke roll, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We find that we have an accent after the double, and then of course another immediate accent which would be before the following double. And so I've used that idea, Elliot and I used that idea to put in the accents after we had worked out the different stickings. So some of the accents will be after the double, some of the accents will be before the double stroke, and then we'll have a series of exercises where the accent is both before and after the double. But before we get into the exercises, let's talk about the blows that we're going to be making when we play the exercises in this book. Actually, there are 4 blows. One of them is called a downstroke, one of them is called an upstroke, one of them is called a full stroke, and one of them is called a tap. Those are the blows that we concentrate on when we're studying the patterns and the accents in this book. I'll demonstrate them. First of all, let's talk about 2 positions that I'm going to be using as we go through the exercise. The first one is the high position, and that means the tip of the stick is pointing straight up. Now in reality, sometimes I go beyond that position. Sometimes I'll bring the stick beyond the high position. And of course when I'm playing really fast, I might not have time to get to the high position. So with the term low, high position means tip of stick straight up. Then we have the low position, which simply means that the tip of the stick is 4 inches, maybe between, we said in the book between 4 and 6 inches, but if you can get it even lower than that, 2 inches or 3 inches off the drum when you're playing, that's preferable. So those are the 2 positions I'm going to use. In the book we mentioned a medium position, but I'm not going to talk about that. Now, we will be concerned with single strokes, and by a single stroke I mean just a single blow with one hand. A single stroke roll, of course, is just alternating our hands. We'll be concerned with single strokes and double strokes. And double strokes, of course, is the long roll, sometimes called the Dada Mama roll. Our combinations of singles and doubles will be what we'll be talking about in this book. At first we'll start with just a single stroke roll and explore that, and then we'll get into combinations of singles and doubles. Now the triple stroke, which is mentioned I think in the book, and I'm talking about page 5 now on the accent on accent book. The triple stroke is not used until book 2. So we will only concentrate on singles and doubles. Now the 4 blows that I talked about can be defined like this. A full stroke starts in the high position, and you play it, and return immediately to the high position. Now we call this constant motion because once you start that stick towards the drum, it doesn't stop until it returns to the high position. Now a downstroke will start in the high position, but our problem is we have to end it in the low position. It will have a tendency to bounce off the drum maybe as high as 8-9 inches. That would be the tendency for the stick, to do something like that. Our job is to stop our hand so that when the stick comes to rest, it's only a couple inches off the drum. Now that's a downstroke. Okay? An upstroke starts in the low position, and after we relax our hands, so we get a tap, oh I shouldn't say a tap, so we get a soft note on the drum, we immediately bring it to the high position. Again, think of constant motion doing this, so that once you start that blow, the tip of the stick is just a blur until it stops in the high position. The 4th blow is what we call a tap, and this is simply a soft note made from that 2 or 3 inch position, or as much as 4 to 6 inches when we start playing fast. Off the drum head. It's very low to the drum. That's a tap. So again, we have these 4 blows: a full stroke, a downstroke, an upstroke, and then a tap. Now, when we play a series of full strokes, if I were to play 3 accented notes, and right here I should mention that the full stroke and the downstroke are the blows that we play when we want to play an accented note. An upstroke and a tap, those are the blows we play when we want to be playing soft. So if I wanted to play a loud note and a soft note, I would have to play a downstroke for the loud note and an upstroke with the second note, so I get the soft note. I'm doing this with one hand, and that's what we're going to be concentrating on at first, is to play with just one hand. So I am going to actually add one more thing to what we're talking about before we get into the exercises. I started to talk about it, but I'll continue talking about it now. If I had 3 loud notes in a row, or let's say 3 accented notes in a row, I would play a full stroke on the first one, a full stroke on the second one, and then a downstroke on the last one. And then to go on, I would play a soft one, of course. So I'd have a full down. Now, anytime the right hand or the left hand is going to play 2 full strokes in a row, or 2 accented notes in a row, the first one will have to be a full stroke. If I'm playing 3 accents in a row, the first 2 will be full strokes, and only the last one will be a downstroke. Now, I mention that because when I play 3 accented notes in a row, I like to use my elbow to prepare the very first accented note. So I prepare the note by bringing my elbow away from my body, keeping the tip of the stick low. Then when the elbow comes in, the stick is thrown up to the high position, and then I'm using basically my wrist to bring the stick down for the ball. So again, here is a accented note using my elbow to prepare it. I'm playing a downstroke there, but I could just as well play a full stroke. And that will be the action that I will be using on the very first note of a series of accented notes that are being played with the same hand. Well, let's go to another page. Let's go to the page 6 and talk about a few of the accent patterns on this page. First of all, we have some right hand exercises at the top of the page. The very first one has 4 notes with an accent on the very first note. Now this is a right hand accent exercise, and if I use my elbow to prepare the very first blow, which is a downstroke, it will look like this. With the elbow coming out before I raise the stick. Don't raise the stick as you bring your elbow out, but keep the stick low until the elbow is out. So you actually have to start raising the elbow, bringing the elbow away from the body while you are playing some of the soft notes. I can do that on all 3 of the soft notes like this. As I play my tap, the elbow goes out a little bit, the tap goes out a little bit more. And on the upstroke, I will have brought the elbow out as far as I'm going to bring it, because now I have to bring the elbow in order to throw the stick up in the air for the down. So, out, and then in, out, now in, out, in. Now, that action, I will have to admit, is not necessary. You can do these exercises just with wrist action, and I recommend that sometimes. You can also add some finger motion to the accented notes. What we do there is we just simply let the hand open and then close it with the fingers as we play the accented note. My suggestion is you try all 3 of these actions, work on them individually. Here would be using the arm motion to prepare the downstroke. Here would be just wrist action. And here's some wrist action combined with fingers. In addition to playing these accented patterns, and you can play them on a pad or on a drum or even on a pillow. Sometimes just playing them on a pillow is nice because it develops your wrists more. In addition to just playing these accents, I want you to add your bass drum and your hi-hat. And the bass drum is on quarter notes, and the hi-hat is closing on 2 and 4. So if I use this pulsation for my feet, and play exercise number 1 on page 6. And this is the exercise for the right hand. It will sound like this. Now I can do that in a steady tempo, but I could also play it like we practice rudiments. In other words, starting it slow and gradually increasing the tempo. So. The idea is to keep the soft notes close to the ground and try listening to them so that the 3 soft notes sound the same. If I go on to exercise 2, that still is a one note accented for every 4 notes, but now the accent's on the second note. So it'll be between the bass drum beats like this. Okay, I'm going to do number 5 now, because in this one we have the action of a downstroke and an upstroke, a downstroke and an upstroke. If I use my elbow on this, I don't have too much time, so the elbow won't come out as far. as if I'm doing exercise 1. But I will still use a little bit of elbow. Bringing the elbow out between the downstroke and the upstroke. When I play the upstroke, of course, then I bring the elbow in. Adding the bass drum. Now there's not much elbow action in that, but I'm still not freezing it against my body. Number 6 is the same exercise, but with an offbeat. Number 7 introduces 2 accents in a row, and this will give me the full stroke that I talked about. Now again, I'll use the elbow for the full stroke, but not for the downstroke. And I have a tap where I can start my elbow out, and an upstroke where I can bring my elbow in, throwing my stick up for the downstroke, or for the full stroke. I'm sorry, I played that wrong. It should have been a full stroke. So here's number 7 with the bass drum added. I'm thinking 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Okay. Number 3 gives us 3 accents in a row. There I will have a full stroke with my elbow, using the elbow to prepare that full stroke. I'll have a full stroke just with the wrist, and then a downstroke with the wrist, and then I'll start my elbow away from the body, and then when I play the upstroke, the elbow comes in. So it'll be a full, down, of the 8th notes with the accents. Let's talk about a triplet. We wrote it in 3/8 time, but you can feel these exercises as triplets. The right hand exercise number 16 has a downstroke, a tap, and an upstroke. Now when I play my bass drum with this, I will just play the bass drum on the first note of the 3 notes. And of course, it's going to sound like a triplet. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. When I start playing faster, I will not bring my hand up to the full high position. But I'll always try to get it as high as I can for the tempo that I'm playing. Now let's do number 17, where the accent's on the second note. Now the problem there with a beginning drummer, of course, is keeping the bass drum going on the 1 while the accent's on 2. Now playing the accent on the second note of a triplet is perhaps the most difficult, so that one should probably be practiced more than the others. Here's number 18, the accent on the 3rd note. Now number 19 has 2 accents, and of course, just like when we played the 8th notes, the first one will be a full, the next one will be a down. And the last one I'm going to play is number 22, where we have just full strokes. Now, in this case, keep the motion going continuously. So you're getting this. See how that looks? Now the left hand, maybe I'll do it with the left hand. And see how I'm bringing it back to the full high position. I'm not pounding the drum. I'm not doing this. Just letting it come off the drum. The accent is determined by the height of the stick, but if I want more than that will give me, I will have to use a little more force with my fingers or my wrist. But for these exercises, the exercise in this book, I'm recommending that you do not think of playing an accent. You just simply think of raising your hand to the full high position and playing a blow, playing a full stroke. When we play slow, in order to get constant motion, we actually sometimes have to go beyond the high position, like this. Otherwise, if we play slow, there's a tendency to stop the stick. So keep the motion going, even if you have to go way beyond the high position. All right? Number 22 then is just all full strokes, and I'll play that with the bass drum and the hi-hat. Now that gives you an idea. These exercises then should also be played with the left hand. I'm going to take just a second to reposition the snare drum so I can do these with what we call the traditional grip of the left hand to show you that action. So it'll just take a little while I reposition the drum. Now I've slanted the drum for drummers that play the traditional grip. And I'm going to do just a couple exercises for left hand, demonstrating the action of the left hand. When I play traditional grip, I'm thinking of actually my arm being in a circle. It's almost as if I'm putting my arms around the barrel, where it starts from the shoulder, goes down to the elbow, turns in, goes down to the wrist, turns in, goes down to the fingers. So this is kind of the position of my arm. Notice that the wrist is bent in. It's not straight forward, but bent in. Okay, now if I use that position, then my hand is vertical. And the fingers are over the stick, and primarily I'm using my forefinger. And my hand is open. If you could see my hand, it would look like this. The stick would be open in the hand. So when I look at the stick, I'm looking at the thumb, which is on top of the stick, but in reality I cannot see the rest of my hand because it's vertical. When I'm at the top of the blow, I'm looking into an open palm, so I can see my hand, but that disappears as I play the blow. Now let me do exercise number 1 for the left hand. I'll play it about 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Again, using my elbow here, and then putting it in on the If I do that exercise number 16 with triplets, you'll get the same idea. But now I do not have as much time for my elbow motion. So practice all these exercises then with the left hand as well as the right hand. And we can practice them using the traditional grip or the matched grip. And the matched grip, again, I'll have to demonstrate that, but give me a second to flatten out the drum. Now here is the left hand playing the exercises, just a couple of them. Again, we'll do number 1 under the left hand exercises. and take a look at page 9. Page 9. These are some exercises that are just in 2/4 time. And what we're doing now is alternating our hands. So we're playing either right, left, right, left, right, left on these exercises, or left, right, left, right, left, right. And we should practice them both ways. I'm going to do number 1 on page 9. And first of all, I'll start it with the right hand. So, very slow tempo. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Now what I'm doing there with my right hand is a down stroke and an up stroke. A down and an up. Up, up, up. The left hand is playing all taps. And I'm trying to match the soft note with the right hand with the soft note of the left hand. Keep the soft notes as soft as I can, which means I want the sticks as close to the drum as I could possibly keep them. I think on that exercise I was probably only about 2 inches off the drum on the 3 soft notes. Which means after I play the accented note with the right hand, I have to stop that stick that close to the drum, just a couple inches off the drum. Now, let's do that exercise again, this time starting with the left hand. So this is exercise number 1, just a single accent on 4 notes on page 9. Let me emphasize that you have to practice all the exercises on this page, starting with the right hand, and again starting with the left hand. Here's exercise number 2. Now if I start with the right hand, that will put the left hand on the accent note, and the left hand now will be playing a down and an up, but it will be playing it off beat. Now let's talk about how I'm going to use my feet on this. There are many ways to play your feet, of course, but I am playing just a steady quarter note with the bass drum. And then I'm playing the hi-hat on 2 and 4. To do that, I'm rocking my left foot, so I'm actually thinking of the heel being played on 1 and the toe being played on 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. And that's what I'm using. I practice many different ways to play the feet on these exercises, but this would be the basic way to play all the exercises on this page. So let's do number 2, where the left hand is playing the down and the up, but the left hand, of course, will be playing it on the offbeat of 1 and the offbeat of 2. Jump down to exercise 5. Here we have 2 accents and then 2 unaccented notes. Actually, it's not written that way in the book. It's a mistake in the book. In the book, if you have a pencil and have your music in front of you, change it to 2 accents instead of 1 accent. The accent should be on the first note and the second note. Now that would make the first 2 blows downstrokes, and the third and fourth blows would be upstrokes. So you'll have to change those 2. It'll be down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, like this. Number 8 is the same basic idea, but the accents are on the first note and the last note. Notice that under these exercises, we have feet written many different ways. Like I said, I practice the feet a lot of different ways when I play these exercises. But the basic way to play them is just with that steady beat. So for now, ignore everything that we've suggested that you play with the feet, and just play the feet. Actually, the feet should be played the way they're represented at exercise 3 on this page. Page 9, exercise 3, shows the bass drum on quarter notes and the hi-hat on the second note. And that's the way I want you to keep the feet going when you're playing these exercises. Number 11 has 3 accents. So that would be a full with the right hand, and then another full with the right hand. At the same time, the left hand, if I provide and I start with the right hand on this exercise, at the same time, the left hand will be playing a downstroke and an upstroke. So the left hand will be doing this. And the right hand will be doing this. Number 15, again, is just full strokes. So I keep the motion going all the way up to the high position with both hands. And with the feet. Don't go, don't pound. Just let them come up to the high position and keep them in constant motion.